discover the amazing truth, how one black waitress's unexpected heroism saved two struggling twins. Early mornings in the diner brought the sound of sizzling bacon and the comforting scent of freshly brewed coffee. Lisa stood behind the counter, an anchor in more ways than one. At 30, she had navigated loss her mother's absence, leaving an aching void, and now carried the weight of her family's legacy. Each morning, as she served plates to early risers, she reflected her mother's resilience and warmth. Yet behind her bright smile lay the tension of unspoken fears, worries about her grandfather's declining health, and the financial strain of keeping their household afloat. Today felt different, heavy. The twins, Avery and Ben, shuffled in, their usual laughter replaced by strained whispers. Something was off. Their eyes, once bright with ambition, now blinked with anxiety as they shared slumped shoulders in their usual booth. Lisa's heart sank. She approached them, willing her voice to remain steady. "Morning, boys. How's school?" They glanced up. "It's okay," Ben replied, the words barely escaping his lips. Lisa sensed the storm brewing beneath their silence, recalling her own childhood struggles. The memory of her mother sacrificing small comforts to keep food on the table sent shards of apprehension coursing through her. As she refilled their coffee, the clinking of cups was drowned out by her racing mind. She couldn't shake the unease that something was about to shatter their fragile peace. Focusing on the positives wasn't easy. Sure enough, she soon learned the news. Their father had been injured in an accident, too hurt to work, too proud to ask for help. The responsibility fell squarely on those innocent twin shoulders, sparking fear deeper than she had ever faced. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue with every encounter. Lisa felt the surge of anguish pushing against her heart, wanting to reach out yet tethered by her own insecurities. Would her support truly make a difference? What if the town's whispers turned against her? The diner buzzed with conversations dripping in snide remarks, critiquing her newfound role in the twins' lives. They whispered about their economic divides, judging her wish to uplift the twins as misguided or even selfish. Each passing day filled Lisa with dread, knowing the barriers of bias could suffocate the very spark she hoped to ignite. The twins needed nurturing, but so did Lisa. Could she bear it alone? With every awkward glimmer of hope she dared to hold onto, shadows expanded around her. The stakes rose, blurring the lines between heroism and self-preservation. And then came the secret's dark revelations that twisted her heart and tangled their fates. Old wounds resurfaced, feeding a growing storm within her. Supporting the twins felt inevitable yet terrifying, an act of defiance against the constraints of her past and present. As the tension cracked and sparked in the air, Lisa stood on the precipice of choice, her heart torn between personal loyalty and the urgent need for connection. It was a gamble, and standing precariously on that edge, she pondered, could she be the hero they needed without losing herself in the process? Or would the weight of expectation fracture everything they dared to build together? The next morning, Lisa opened the diner, with the sun barely cresting over the horizon. She moved through the familiar motions like an automaton, the chill air brushing against her skin, but her mind was entangled in the events of the previous days. The weight of the twins' burdens pressed against her chest, a constant reminder that their struggles had awakened something dormant within her, a call to action she hadn't anticipated. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sharp chime of the bell above the door. As the twins entered, their heads bowed, shadows clinging to their features. Lisa forced a smile, an attempt to bridge the widening gap of uncertainty between them. "Hey, boys. How about some pancakes on the house today?" Ben glanced up, surprise in his eyes before flickering quickly to the floor again. "Thanks, Lisa." Avery shifted his weight, the tightness in his posture evident. Their response, although grateful, further ignited Lisa's concerns. She could sense their wariness, almost as if they were battling the aftermath of burdens no child should have to face. As she prepared their orders, she mulled over her hesitations. Would her support really help? Each question spiraled within, feeding a growing resolve. She had overcome her own sets of challenges, scrimping and saving to keep the family afloat after her mother passed. Now, the twins stood on that same precipice, a steep fall that could easily swallow them whole. Lisa recognized that it wasn't merely a matter of financial support but something deeper. They needed hope, and perhaps someone to defy the odds with them. With plates stacked high, Lisa set their breakfast before them. "You boys can talk to me, you know. If there is anything you need help with, we can figure it out together." The words felt heavier than she expected, as if she might break under the weight of her own sincerity. Their eyes flicked to her, and Lisa could see something shifting in them, a mix of vulnerability and fear. Avery hesitated, then spoke up. "It's just, everything has changed. Dad can't work, and we're scared." Each syllable felt like a chisel against the stone wall of their emotions, cracking openness in a way that demanded both acknowledgement and compassion. Lisa's heart ached for them. "I understand," she said softly. "But you don't have to carry this alone. You're not just twins anymore. You're a family, which means you lean on each other. Lean on me when you need to as well." Her words washed over them, and she noticed the faint glimmer of hope igniting in their eyes, their breathing steadier. Yet as their connection began to strengthen, the judgmental undertones from other patrons in the diner crashed around them. Whispers swirled like dark clouds, casting a shadow over Lisa's intentions. Each murmured insult grounded her feet in doubt. Skepticism seeped into her resolve as she wrestled with the very real fear of backlash. What if her efforts failed? What if she confirmed the town's worst fears about her supposed overreach? That nagging anxiety clawed at her, yet the urge to stand firm took root. By offering her support, could she redefine what it meant to be a hero, not just for the boys but for herself? Mending her heart, one decision at a time, felt almost formidable. With determination flickering within her once more, Lisa realized she had a choice. It was not simply about helping the twins. This was a journey of discovering the strength she hadn't fully embraced. Perhaps she could rise to confront her fears and the town's judgment. As she wiped down the counter, a new plan began to formulate in her mind, a strategy for how to help them, one that might challenge the very narrative swirling around her. The thought electrified her, igniting a flicker of defiance within. But before she could solidify her resolve, the bell above the door rang again, and in walked a figure from her past, carrying a knowing smirk that sent chills down her spine. The time had come to face those who had once left their fingerprints on her own history. Would she stand firm in her new role or crumble under the pressures of an unforgiving gaze? Lisa's heart raced as she recognized the figure who had just stepped into the diner. Adam Jones. Once a pillar of her high school drama club and a friend-turned-rival, Adam had a reputation that preceded him. His presence felt like a storm cloud hovering just out of reach, threatening to unleash chaos. She wiped her hands on her apron, feeling the familiar cocktail of anxiety and determination swirl within her. "Lisa," he greeted, lean and confident. The smirk remained, a mask concealing the judgment beneath. "Still slinging pancakes, I see." His comment hung in the air, laden with unspoken implications. But Lisa wasn't the same girl who shrank from his barbs. She took a breath, channeling the weight of the twins' struggles into her growing resolve. "And you're still the life of the party, it seems," she replied, Forcing a smile through the tension. As she turned her back to him, she worked on the twins' orders, feeling their eyes on Adam, filled with apprehension. They had picked up on the energy shift, sensing the potential for conflict. What would he say next? Lisa had no intention of letting him tear down what she had begun to construct, the haven she hoped to create for the boys. "Looks like you've taken a new interest in charity," Adam said, leaning against the counter with a casual demeanor that belied the weight of his words. "Buying your way into the good graces of the community by playing savior for two boys who are probably better off without you meddling." Her breathing paused as a flare of anger ignited within her. She hadn't anticipated this confrontation, nor had she expected to feel so strongly anchored to her decision to help. The urge to defend herself and the twins surged forward. "They need support," she asserted, her voice steady. "And if you're not here to help, then maybe it's better for you to step aside." A flicker of surprise crossed his face, but it was quickly replaced with contempt. "Support? Or is it just headlines you're after? You think doing a good deed will make you a hero in their eyes?" The challenges Adam presented pushed her closer to a breaking point. Yet amidst the hostilities, a realization dawned on her. He was taunting her to retreat, to second-guess her intentions, but what if she flipped the script? What if she used this moment to further solidify her role as an ally? "Some heroes wear capes, Adam," Lisa replied, her conviction sharpening. "Others just show up when it counts." She caught Ben S. and Avery S. gaze both wide with admiration and a flicker of fear. This was about more than facing Adam. It was about being an example for them, demonstrating courage in the face of adversity. The chill of the diner wrapped around them, amplifying the escalating tension as the other patrons listened in, intrigued. Lisa's determination burned deeper. Where others might falter, she could rise. If Adam was here to undermine her, she would show him the resilience she had cultivated not only for herself but for the boys who needed her. She turned to the twins, her voice softer now, reassured by their presence. "We're a family, and family supports one another. It doesn't matter what people like Adam say. What matters is we're in this together. I'll be right here, watching you navigate this pity party," Adam shot back, confident in provoking them. Yet she sensed the tide beginning to shift. With every word she spoke, she was pulling strength from her own past traumas and the weight of the twins' struggles. As expected, the bell above the door chimed again, but this time, Lisa braced herself not for judgment, but for the possibility of building a bridge with the twins. A new patron entered, holding a flyer marked with the words Community Resource Fair in bold letters. The overlapping currents of uncertainty and opportunity filled the room, potent enough to spur her forward. What if Lisa felt the spark of an idea? Maybe this event could be the way she could help the twins and prove Adam wrong. But as she shared her thoughts with the boys, Adam's laughter echoed in her ears, reigniting her doubts. Would her plan be enough to silence not just him, but her own nagging fears? The dancer between uncertainty and hope sharpened, and she understood. Real change would come not just from confrontation, but a willingness to embrace the unknown ahead. With every decision weighing on her, Lisa realized the next step might bind her closer to the twins or plunge her into deeper conflict. Would she dare to step out of her comfort zone and seize this chance for both her and the boys? Lisa's mind raced as new possibilities unfurled within her. The flyer still fluttered in her hands, a stark reminder that opportunities existed beyond the confines of the diner. The resource fair could be the platform she needed not only to empower the twins, but to establish herself in this community, to say to Adam and everyone else that she was doing more than just slinging pancakes. The thought invigorated her, but uncertainty loomed. Taking a pause, she inhaled deeply, focusing on her heartbeat, the thrum of determination coursing through her. She abruptly turned to Ben and Avery. "What if we went to this fair together? We could meet people, Find resources that can help you both, she suggested, her voice steady and inviting. But what if it doesn't work out? Ben interjected, his brows furrowing. What if it's just a waste of time? His doubt mirrored her own. Then at least we tried, right? Lisa replied, trying to channel the fear she had witnessed in their eyes into a palpable sense of purpose. But if we don't go, we'll never know what we're missing. We could find tutors, mentors, even scholarships. Avery's eyes widened at the mention of scholarships. The idea of a future beyond the current constraints sparked a glimmer of hope. You really think people will help us? He asked, vulnerability creeping into his voice. I do, she affirmed, conviction sweeping through her. I believe in you both. And even if you only take one small step today, it's still movement in the right direction. Adam, overhearing their exchange, interrupted. It's cute that you think you can make a difference, he scoffed, crossing his arms. But do you really think two boys who've gone unnoticed for years can just waltz into a crowd and find help? It's naive. Lisa felt the irritation flare again, but instead of sparring with him, she held onto her resolve. Naivety can lead to great things, Adam. Sometimes it's the people who think differently who create real change. The challenge rolled off her tongue, a subtle reminder that his cynicism couldn't poison her aspirations. But what if he is right? She thought, the echo of his doubt threatening her bolstered spirit. What if all the planning and hoping would come to naught? A solid wave of practicality urged her to reconsider. Yet she understood now that doubt wasn't a barrier. It was an opportunity to confront something deeper. This path wasn't just about the twins. It was transforming her perception of self-worth and purpose. I'm not asking you to believe in me, she said, turning toward Adam with determination in her eyes. I'm asking you to look beyond your judgments. This isn't about you. It's about what we can achieve together. With that, she focused back on the twins, pouring her energy into the conversation about the fair, how they could navigate it together. If only they could take this step forward, they might uncover talent and passion they didn't even know they possessed. Every positive prospect she envisioned tightened the bond between them, bolstering her determination. Driven by this shared ambition, Lisa began crafting a list of goals they could pursue at the event. Internships, skill-building workshops, creative outlets, each goal illuminating the path ahead. As the discussion flowed, challenges still loomed. Adam's presence hung heavy in the background, a constant reminder of the potential for ridicule. Would he follow them to the fair, ready to unleash another round of verbal attacks, somehow trying to undermine the journey they were about to take? No, Lisa thought. She wouldn't let his words cast shadows over their aspirations. She had to ignite the flame of possibility within the twins before it was too late. Despite the tightening tension in the diner, an unusual calm washed over her. The fear of failure danced at the edges, but so did the thrill of change. Would she have the courage to lead them into this new chapter? Would her belief be enough to spark the twins' confidence and step into the unknown? The stakes felt impossibly high, but just as exhilarating. The moment had come for the three of them to make decisions that might weave the fabric of their future. Yet, in the quiet moments of planning, a new question tugged at her heart. What if this choice reverberated beyond expectations, uncovering truths they had long buried? With a final, determined glance at the flyer, a mix of hope and dread took root within her. The real journey was about to begin, and with it, the dawning realization that the past didn't have to dictate her future. Time loomed tantalizingly ahead. Would they transform their scarred lives into a story of triumph or be swallowed by doubt? The moment was ripe for revelation, and with it, everything could change. But Lisa needed to venture out beyond the confines of her fear. The next step awaited, one that might cross paths with something far greater than all of them, waiting just at the edge of the unknown. Lisa gathered her thoughts as they prepared to leave the diner, each step feeling like a bold stride into uncertainty. The idea of attending the fair together shifted from a flicker of hope to a blazing call to adventure. With every promise held in the goals they outlined, Lisa felt something evolving within her, a sense of becoming. As they stepped into the bustling streets outside, the late afternoon sun painted the world in warm tones, contrasting sharply with the shadows of doubt that loomed in her mind. Adam's skepticism echoed in her thoughts, challenging her resolve. But she carried the twin streams within her, and she couldn't afford to let that weight diminish. "All right, so who wants to lead our way?" Lisa prompted, turning to Ben and Avery. Their faces flickered between confidence and hesitation, a reflection of the doubts they had harbored for years. She needed them to step into the role of protagonists in their own stories. "I guess we can just follow your lead," Avery offered hesitantly, his hands fidgeting in his pockets. "Let us think of it differently," Lisa replied, tapping into the leadership she hadn't realized she had. "How about you each choose one thing you want to check out first? You're not just following me. This is your chance to claim your futures. What really excites you?" Ben's brow furrowed, his eyes scanning the street ahead, as if seeking an answer in the very air. "I've always liked the idea of projects, anything with hands-on work. Maybe something tech-related? I like working with machines." Avery nodded slowly, clearly contemplating. "I want to see if there are any music programs or art. I like to draw," he added quietly, almost as if he feared ridicule. Lisa's heart swelled. "That is perfect. Both choices show you're looking for tangible skills." Her belief in them spread confidence in their budding aspirations. "Let us mark those down, and keep sight of what matters to you." As they walked, the weight of Adam's derision dissolved with each step. The reckless confidence she sought to nurture began to seep into her own spirit. Lisa realized she wasn't merely a waitress. She could offer more than just plates of food to the world. The ripples of potential stretched before her, intertwined with those of the twins. They reached the fair's entrance, a bubbling cauldron of energy. Bright banners danced overhead, and voices created a symphony of enthusiasm. Lisa inhaled the scent of hope mingled with endless possibility. She felt electric, both exhilarated and apprehensive, an interesting blend of emotions that hinted at growth. "Remember," Lisa instructed, raising her voice slightly to be heard over the lively chatter, "stick together. If you feel overwhelmed, don't hesitate to lean on each other or me. We're in this together." As they navigated the maze of booths and enthusiastic presenters, Lisa looked for moments where they could connect. She spotted a table demonstrating coding and robotics. "What about this, Ben?" she encouraged, nodding in excitement. "Can I really try?" he asked, uncertainty clouding his expression. "Absolutely. Dive in." Her zest resonated through her words, fueling him with momentum. Ben stepped forward, enthusiasm igniting as he engaged with the tech demonstration. Lisa watched him transform from timid to excited as he picked up a controller. Every smile that broke on his face reaffirmed that taking risks could lead to joys they had never imagined. Turning to Avery, who lingered a few steps behind, Lisa motioned for him to join them. "What about you? Is there anything catching your attention?" Avery scanned the nearby art display, a colorful array of canvases and sketches. "I think I'd like to try that too," he admitted, at last shedding the blanket of doubt. "Let us go see what you can create." She propelled them forward, exhilaration breathing new life into their journey, wrapping them in a moment where fear was replaced by discovery. Amidst the chaos, a familiar yet unsettling presence crept into her mind. Adam lingered in the periphery, watching them with arms crossed, an all too familiar expression of disapproval distorting his face. Was he waiting to swoop in and unleash his scorn? Lisa met his gaze for a brief second, stirred by something deeper within her. But what if beyond his judgment lay an opportunity to challenge the very boundaries she had set for herself? If she stood firm now, might that inspire the twins to tailor their destinies. As they worked toward their individual explorations, a wave of moral determination enveloped her. Their success would inevitably reshape her identity. The resilience gathering within lit her soul. She couldn't falter now. "Let us make every moment count," Lisa whispered to herself as they parted ways, anticipation coursing through her veins. But just as anticipation soared, so too did uncertainty. What would unfold beyond the expected? Would Adam's presence evolve into a confrontation, or could it somehow turn into the challenge that pushed her even further? The stage was set, and the outcome hinged on the choices now laid bare before them. Would they continue to face their fears, or would the shadows return to encapsulate them? Lisa felt the electric buzz of possibility swell around her as she took a deep breath, centering herself amid the chaos of the fair. She had guided Ben into the world of coding and robotics, and now Avery was poised to explore his own creative realm. But in the corners of her mind, Adam's skepticism loomed like a thundercloud. She understood his doubts, like a haunting melody that wouldn't quite fade away. As she turned to watch Ben skillfully manipulate the robotics controls, a flicker of pride ignited within her. This was not just a moment for the twins, this was a testament to what they could achieve when they dared to step into the light. She could feel her own aspirations unfurling alongside theirs, but the presence of Adam always jerked her back to earth, reminding her of what she had been and what she feared she could still become. "Hey, Lisa," Ben called out, a broad grin stretched across his face. "Look at this!" He animatedly pointed to the robot he had just programmed, making it execute movements with newfound precision. Lisa beamed at his enthusiasm, her heart thrumming with encouragement. "Whoa, that's amazing, Ben! You really have a knack for this." The words slipped from her lips with genuine warmth, but a shadow of doubt trickled back into her thoughts. Was she merely trying to validate him, because she herself was trying to fend off her own insecurities? "Maybe you should try it too," Avery suggested tentatively, stepping closer, an uncharacteristic spark of interest illuminating his face. Lisa regarded him carefully, the moment spicy with potential. "You're right. Let us see how I can do," she explained, stepping to the front of the booth. The instructor handed her a controller. As she fumbled with it initially, feelings of ineptitude washed over her. The observer in her recognized that she was reflecting her own internal struggles in the face of learning something new. But mingling with the anxiety was a flicker of determination. What if she pushed through this discomfort? Would it help not only her, but also reinforce the twins' belief in their own capabilities? The moment stretched thin as she focused, her hands somber with meticulous consideration. Gradually, with persisting effort, she managed to maneuver the buttons correctly. Each success led to growing confidence, and she soon was orchestrating the robot's movements with increasing skill. The laughter and cheers of the onlookers, including the twins, surrounded her, solidifying the sensation of acceptance. "See, you're getting the hang of it," Ben cheered, and for a fleeting moment, she felt liberated not just as their guide but as a participant in her own journey of self-discovery. As a new wave of excitement surged around the booth, Lisa's eyes caught Adam's figure across the open expanse. The judgment reflected back from him stirred an older, gnawing anxiety within her. But perhaps this moment could be his reckoning as well. "Why are you all here?" he asked, his disdain sharp and palpable amid the festive atmosphere. "Because we're exploring, Adam," Lisa replied, her throat tightening in response to his challenge. "Everyone deserves the chance to aim for what they love." His scoff only fueled the fire within her. Wasn't it time for her to confront the narrative he had cast over her life? She could stop being the character lost in his critique and begin authoring her own story. "Do you really think this is going to change anything?" he pressed, but Lisa sensed something deeper in his tone, an invisible thread linking his fear and her growth. "I don't just want to change things for me," she responded, her voice steadier than she expected. "I want Ben and Avery to see that they can imprint their mark on the world too. We all can." His brow furrowed, the weight of her words taking root. Perhaps there were fractures in his beliefs that she could avert his dismissal by showing him what true confidence looked like. Avery, standing beside Ben, caught her eye and nodded subtly, his faith manifesting in silence. "Let us go try painting now," Avery urged, a beam of hope in his voice. The prospect of a painting display shimmered nearby, and Lisa could see its magnetic appeal drawing him closer, urging him to seize the moment. Before they moved, Lisa turned fully to Adam, her own heart racing. "You don't have to let your doubts define you, Adam. What if you stood by us in this? What if you took a step into the unknown too?" His response hung in the air like a blade, ready to cut through the thin veneer of their fragile hopes. The tension built, and Lisa's heart thundered. It was as if an entire world rested on his answer, ready to tip into chaos or revelation. "What if?" he echoed, eyes narrowing as he scrutinized her. The challenge hung between them, a question poised to alter their trajectories forever. The electrifying air surrounding the robotics booth surged with possibilities. Lisa felt the momentum shift as she stood before Adam, her heart pounding. She had beckoned him into a world she had finally begun to embrace, and now it was time for him to face the reality she had glimpsed through her own transformation. "What are you afraid of, Adam?" she pressed, her voice steadying itself against the tide of uncertainty. It was an unsettling question, one that buzzed in the spaces between them like static electricity. She saw the clench of his jaw, the defiance simmering beneath the surface. Every instinct in her screamed to retreat, to shield herself from his response, yet an equal urge pushed her forward. "You think this is some magical revelation, right? That all it takes is some paint and a few bots?" His voice dripped with skepticism, but Lisa detected the crack in his shield. This was a moment of vulnerability hiding beneath his bravado. "It's a chance to learn to grow," she argued, defiance bolstering her resolve. "You can't find that out until you try." Avery and Ben stood back, their faces reflecting a mix of curiosity and nervousness, as if they too understood the stakes hovering between Lisa and Adam. The weight of their hopes amplified the air's tension, pushing her resolve deeper. "Try? You think trying equates to success? You know how many times I've tried and failed." Adam's bitterness was rooted in years of self-doubt. "Exactly," Lisa replied, her voice gaining strength. "Trying is the first step to changing your narrative. It's taking back control." She paced closer, narrowing the gap that had grown between them, grasping the controller tightly in her hand, as if it were a lifeline. This wasn't just to convince him. It was an embodiment of her journey, a tenacious grip on newfound skill and confidence. "You've only seen yourself through a lens of failure, but what if you recalibrated how you see yourself?" she continued, unearthed fervor igniting a fire within her that demanded release. Adam's scrutiny didn't falter. "Recalibrate? And then what? You party it up with your robot friends?" Frustration bubbled within her. This was exactly what she had feared, the same dismissive attitude that had plagued her own thoughts for too long. Yet, flipping through moments of self-reflection, something shifted. She recognized the challenge was not different for her than it was for him. It was the same crossroads of fear and choice. "Part of me still gets scared, Adam," she confessed, vulnerability slipping through the armor she felt against his derision. "But I also know that I can keep challenging what I believe I'm capable of. Just like Ben and Avery are doing right now. Isn't it time you allowed yourself to discover what you might achieve if you stepped out of that shadow you've been dwelling in?" Silence hung heavily after her revelation, punctuating a moment that felt interminable. She could sense a reckoning stirring in Adam, a battle behind weary eyes. Beneath his frustration, an awareness simmered, perhaps an acknowledgement of how his own fears had dictated not only his life, but also impacted the lives around him. Why do you care so much? He finally asked, his voice softer yet still tinged with skepticism. You could easily walk away and let us drag our feet. She inhaled, gathering pieces of strength knit through shared experiences. Because I see your potential, Adam. Just like I see it in the twins. You might not believe it yet, but there's greatness in your questioning, your skepticism. Allow it to fuel your growth instead of suffocating it. A flicker of thought crossed his face, the once barricaded doors of his mindset beginning to crack. In that moment, she knew she had thrown down the gauntlet. Join us. Paint. Create something. And who knows, you just might surprise yourself, she declared, her challenge clear. As she stepped back, prepared for anything from outright rejection to tentative acceptance, the silence expanded, heavy and filled with electricity. Maybe I'll give it a shot. He finally muttered the words. Tentative but charged with an undercurrent of resolve. Could this be the moment that redefined their relationship? Lisa's heart raced in anticipation of the unknown as she gestured toward the nearby painting display. Just as the twins surged forward, eager to dive into the paint, Lisa caught sight of the hesitant shift in Adam's posture. It was subtle but telling, a glimmer of vulnerability that hinted at an unveiling. His next words would either solidify a newfound path or sever the fragile threads of possibility they had begun weaving together. All right, Lisa. Let us see if I can paint a picture that's worth the canvas, he stated, eyes sharper now, as if he were both daring and inviting her to witness his transformation. The energy in the air crackled, the potential for change thick and palpable. What if he discovers more than just art today? She pondered, a sudden knot of hope tightening around her chest. With all eyes on them on the journey she had initiated, Lisa conquered her own fears, igniting a new fervor in the depths of doubt. She stepped towards the canvas, ready to shape her destiny. In that moment, the stakes grew uncomfortable because together, they were about to uncover truths they had both kept buried. Would they emerge renewed or trapped in another cycle of fear? As Lisa approached the canvas, she felt an electrifying mix of anticipation and dread. This moment could become a turning point not just for Adam, but for herself as well. She set the brush down in front of him, bathing it in the vibrant colors beckoning for expression. It felt monumental, the weight of possibilities pressing down on her shoulders. Step in, she said, her voice steady as she nodded toward the paint. Let it speak for you. Adam shifted his weight from one foot to the other, uncertainty etching deeper lines on his face. He looked at the canvas, and for the first time, she sensed a flicker of curiosity igniting behind his skepticism. It was her chance to witness not just what he could create, but how he transformed in the process. Her mind raced. Could the trembling of his hand shake off years of doubt? She stepped aside, the twins having swiftly lost themselves splattering paint with laughter and enthusiasm. Their joy was infectious, and she couldn't help but smile at their innocent freedom. But Adam wasn't a child. He carried the weight of expectations, of failure, and it hung over him like a cloud. Just start with one stroke, she encouraged, the words tumbling out in a flurry of hope. See where it takes you. He finally grasped the brush, fingers briefly hovering over the bristles. Then, with a deliberate motion, he dipped it in blue paint. For a moment, Lisa held her breath, anticipation building. Would he take this step? More importantly, could he escape the confines of his own judgment? As the brush made contact with the canvas, a jarring splash startled the twins momentarily. Laughter erupted, but Adam remained focused, his brow furrowed in concentration as he sketched a sweeping arc. It wasn't just a line of paint, it was an admission of willingness. The shapes began to evolve, initially messy yet infused with a raw honesty that stirred something inside Lisa. She marveled at the transformation unfolding before her, but there was no time for complacency. Adam's growing focus intrigued her, making her question the depths of her own journey. The tenacity she had showcased had she truly dissected her vulnerabilities enough to understand their impact on her professional life? Seconds turned into minutes, as he added more strokes, colors melding in unexpected harmony. Each sip of paint led to a hesitant joy illuminating his features, replacing the shadows of self-doubt with newfound determination. The canvas became a testimony of his turmoil and triumph, and Lisa saw a reflection of her own struggles within his creation. Then, abruptly, the excitement shifted. Adam stepped back, almost recoiling from his newfound creation, as if doubting its validity, questioning if it deserved a place among the mastery that surrounded him. What if it's not good enough? The words tumbled out, heavy with insecurity. Art isn't about perfection, Lisa replied, her voice firm but gentle. It's about the process, about expressing what is alive inside you. She could feel the crux of conflict, the very essence of her own battles resurfacing. How often had she allowed fear of judgment to hold her back? The revelation struck hard. Perhaps this moment wasn't solely about Adam. It was also about reaffirming her own resolve. Your voice matters. Just like every splash of paint here, she insisted. It's part of discovering who you are without the weight of others' expectations. What if you turned your doubt into fuel? What would you create then? For a fleeting second, the tension in the air hummed with potential. Lisa's heart raced at the prospect. She recognized this not just as encouragement for Adam, but as a powerful reminder for herself. Every moment of doubt should have the potential to shape something beautiful. Adam stood silent, absorbing her words, and that silence lingered like a gentle promise. Striding back towards the canvas, he gripped the brush more fiercely now. With a mixture of determination and fear, he plunged back into the vibrant chaos, this time with intent. Lisa's pulse quickened, a silent acknowledgement of their simultaneous journeys unfolding. Look at yourself, she dared to whisper, not as a challenge but as an invitation. Discover where this can lead you. But then came a thought that sent a ripple of anxiety through her. What if confronting the inner battles had repercussions she was unprepared for? What truths awaited discovery beneath layers of denial? As colors burst forth on the canvas, a reflection of both their struggles and triumphs, Lisa wrestled with a looming uncertainty. What if exploring Adam's potential unveiled hidden truths even she found difficult to face? The stakes intensified as she took in the scene. The energy they were cultivating could lead to revelations neither anticipated. Would they emerge enlightened, or would the fear of failure bind them once more? With excitement and trepidation entwined in her chest, she realized the next words spoken would shape the trajectory of their evolution. Let this be the beginning of redefining all that we thought we were, she urged, her voice barely rising above the chaos of the paint and laughter. The moment of transformation was upon them, and deep within, she braced herself for what might surface next. As the brush glided across the canvas, Adam began to lose himself in the kaleidoscope of colors, each stroke unraveling layers of repressed emotion. Lisa observed him not just as a mentor, but as a fellow traveler in the exploration of self. The silence that had previously weighed heavily upon her heart shifted to an electric tension that ignited urgency. This was a moment of breakthrough, not just for Adam, but for her as well. She grasped a brush, uncertain if her own creativity could bear the weight of such revelation. Instead, she chose to watch, the weight of her own brush almost a symbol of accountability. As Adam's shoulders relaxed and his movements became more fluid, Lisa reflected on her own history of self-imposed limits. There was comfort in the familiar. Stepping out into unknown territories invited discomfort, and yet, it was where growth undeniably thrived. In that moment, the twins cheered as their playful splashes mingled with Adam's labor, creating a tapestry of unrestrained expression. Lisa felt a swell within her, as Adam's buildup of anxiety shifted to an intoxicating mix of liberation and joy. Yet beneath her excitement lingered an uninvited shadow, whispering doubts that had long been encoded into her professional DNA. What if she was unworthy to guide him in this journey? "Keep going," she called out, the words echoing with both encouragement and a subtle plea for her own composure. What if she choked on her own aspirations in front of him? But as Adam turned to her, surprise mingled with determination in his gaze. Lisa saw the reflection of her own hopes and fears staring back. She needed to silence the inner critic that hinted her experiences were insignificant compared to his struggle. "Forget about what comes next," she urged softly, stepping forward, her voice steady with hidden resolve. "What matters is what you feel right now." He nodded slowly, and with renewed vigor, shoved the brush back onto the canvas. Lisa's heart raced not just for him, but for the possibilities rippling within her. Each stroke echoed with repressed facets of herself begging for expression. Deep down, she started to strategize, formulating a plan to step outside her own fears and unleash what lay dormant within her. If she could coax Adam and the twins into self-discovery, perhaps she could guide herself in the same way. As the canvas transformed under Adam's energy, her mind wandered to experiences that had stifled her in the past. The disappointments of unacknowledged talent, the sting of rejection, all came rushing back, each memory entwined with a lesson that begged to be revisited. Lisa felt a pit forming in her stomach. What would it mean for her to confront those ghosts openly? Suddenly, a bold thought forced its way into her consciousness. Maybe these moments of creation were not just about bouncing colors off a canvas, but a bold challenge to unveil the core of who they were: messy, vulnerable, imperfect beings striving for freedom in a confining world. As those realizations permeated her thoughts, Lisa took a deep breath, exhaling doubt and inhaling possibility. Determined, she reached for the brush again, hovering for just a heartbeat before letting the vibrant paint consume her anxiety. "Let us share the canvas," she declared, her heart thudding in her throat. "All of us. Our colors, our emotions, they belong here together." The twins cheered louder, excitement ebbing and flowing like the paint that now coiled around the edges of the canvas. Adam eyed her, a flicker of awe and uncertainty contesting his expression. As she dipped her brush into the yellow paint and joined his blue with a bold line, she felt the charged atmosphere shift. "Your insecurity won't define you," she said, turning to Adam with fervor. "It's your story we're telling today. Will you let your journey transform this canvas?" The challenge hung fiercely between them, and Lisa knew the weight of her question extended beyond just Adam. It challenged her to confront the very boundaries she had held onto during her own journey. Would she allow her insecurities to govern her aspirations, or would she embrace this opportunity to change the narrative of her life along with his? A silence fell, thick with potential, as Lisa fought her own fear. She tightened her grip on the brush, ready to commit to this moment of vulnerability. The risk was palpable, and amidst the swirl of color and emotion surrounding them, she wondered what legacy awaited. The shared experience could either consolidate their growth or unravel them. "Are you ready to embrace this?" she asked, the question capturing both of their futures. Adam hesitated, willing to confront the barriers of his past, but what about her own? With that doubt hanging precariously in the air, the next stroke awaited a revelation that could alter the very course of their intertwined journeys. The cacophony of colors danced on the canvas, a vivid representation of both turmoil and triumph. As the brush glided across the surface, it encapsulated the essence of their collective journey, revealing layers of emotion that were often buried deep under the weight of societal expectations. Adam had initiated a pivotal transformation, and so had Lisa, who was beginning to shape her identity in a narrative she had long thought was outside her reach. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Adam, she felt the shared pressure of uncertainty lift, replaced by an electrifying camaraderie. Each stroke of paint on the canvas became a celebration of resilience, not just for the twins, but for herself as well. The swirling hues painted a manifestation of hope, a proclamation of defiance against the fears that had haunted her for so long. For the first time in years, Lisa understood the exquisite beauty in vulnerability. No longer chained to the judgment of others, she reveled in the freedom of expression. The moment turned transcendent, each flick of the brush marking a departure from self-doubt to self-affirmation. "Look at what you're creating, Adam," she said, her voice rising over the infectious laughter of the twins. "This is you breaking free." She leaned in closer, mesmerized as he explored the canvas, enveloped by his budding confidence. The initial apprehension on his face had morphed into the brightness of someone rediscovering purpose. Adam paused, stepping back to evaluate the masterpiece melded from their creativity. "I can't remember the last time I allowed myself to enjoy something like this," he admitted, his voice surprisingly tender. "For a long time, I felt like I was just existing." "Let this be just the beginning," Lisa encouraged, knowing that his admission mirrored her own internal struggle. The desire for approval, the incessant need to measure up to someone else's standards had bound them both. With every brushstroke, they freed themselves from a past defined by fear. The twins, seeing their vulnerability unfold, joined arms with Lisa and Adam, their own enthusiasm brightening the atmosphere. Each of them poured emotions onto the canvas, squashing the whispers of doubt that once lingered in their minds. The once daunting task of expressing themselves was effortlessly transformed into an exhilarating journey of self-discovery. As they finished their mural, Lisa glanced around the vibrant scene of the fair. The energy around them buzzed with acceptance and joy, a palpable reminder of what it means to step into one's power. And as each passerby paused to marvel at their creation, Lisa realized they hadn't just painted a canvas. They had woven a tapestry of inspiration for everyone watching. In that moment, recognition reshaped her understanding of success. She didn't need validation from whispers of the past. She had become the anchor she once sought outside herself. This was empowerment rediscovered, a transformation rooted in authentic integrity both for herself and for the twins. Adam stepped forward to share their work with others, and Lisa followed. "This represents resilience against self-doubt, all of us overcoming our fears," she explained. "We've turned struggle into strength." As their story rippled throughout the fair, they encountered a mix of encouragement amid the crowd. Lisa absorbed this newfound affirmation, vibrant colors mirrored within her spirit, illuminating the power of sharing one's journey. "I never thought I could contribute to something so beautiful," Adam confessed, his eyes reflecting an earnest surprise. "Maybe there's more to what I can do to who I can be." "Absolutely," Lisa agreed, heart swelling with pride. "And this moment, this creation, proves that embracing our imperfections doesn't diminish who we are. It amplifies our growth." The sun began to set, bathing them in golden light, a perfect parallel to the evolution they had experienced. Lisa felt a rush of exhilaration as she looked at the mural, vibrant and alive, an embodiment of their shared triumph. She finally understood why she had felt compelled to step outside her comfort zone. Supporting the twins had allowed her to unearth her own voice, transforming her perception of herself from a mere waitress to an advocate for change. She had conquered her fears, and in doing so, she had become the hero they all needed. As the fair began to wind down, Lisa gathered Ben and Avery into a tight embrace. "I'm so proud of you both," she said, a firm belief folding into each word. They beamed back at her, their transformation evident as confidence radiated from their smiles. "Thank you for believing in us, Lisa," Ben said softly, and Avery echoed the sentiment. In their eyes, she saw the same flicker of hope she had once lacked. She had forged a path away from her shadows, empowered both by their journey and her own. This was her new reality, a fresh start brimming with possibility. Lisa stepped back and absorbed the scene around her one last time. As they all gathered to review the mural, a chant of positivity erupted from the crowd, solidifying the impact of their art. Lisa smiled, satisfied. They had achieved something extraordinary together. What began as a daunting journey into the unknown transformed into a triumphant success of courage and self-acceptance. She stood taller, her confidence now unshakable. Today wasn't just a day of healing. It was a catalyst for change that transcended their personal narratives and expanded into shared possibilities. And with that thought, she knew this journey was far from over. Their destinies would continue to unfold together, forever entwined in their mutual growth. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans of overcoming personal stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.